For issue number 4 of Brick Something, I want to put a spotlight on an amazing new toy line that I've been wild about, all before even having a single figure in hand. If you're like most kids, stories about animals were foundational to helping you figure out the world we live in. The children's book and entertainment industry is filled with animal characters, especially anthropomorphized ones. It's a fancy word for animals with human-like lives and human-like personalities that have human-like relationships and go on adventures that, ironically, are actually meant to teach kids what it means to be human. Characters based on animals are likely so stuck in your core memory that your brain is filling in the missing gaps right now. You know these. You learn them quickly and powerfully as a kid, and they stuck for reasons. When I was growing up in the late 70s and through the 80s, there was no shortage of anthropomorphized animal characters. There seemed to be a pretty clear formula to hook kids like me. First, action and adventure. Just the right set of pencil strokes and gestures or the right tap of typewritten lines would create the basic template. Take that and choose an animal, say a simian, and make it stern like a military general. Or a regal big cat, and make it lithe, super fast and acrobatic like an Olympic gymnast or runner. Or maybe a deadly raptor, like the bird kind, not the Jurassic kind, and make it a nonsensical yet no-nonsense hunter or something. Ooh, how about a big old bear, and make it a blink-and-it'll-taste-you toddler? And of course there's the oft-feared snake. Just make it a bigger, roided-out, snake man guy. Anyway, my childhood was filled with this stuff, and I loved it all. Give me anthropomorphic animals, especially if they were laced with fantasy and medieval-style weapons, any day. I spent so many hours of my formative years watching shows and playing with so many toys of animal-human type characters, some mine, some my cousins, some my friends, but I just love things like the characters we just went through. King Ursus, Chitara, Raptor, Wicket, Ratlor, but also the likes of, say, Webstor, Lion-O, Tigra, Mako, the Silverhawks, yeah, they count, Mumbo Jumbo, Dargon, Skulk, Mantis, a bunch of the folks from Muscle, King Hiss, Chewbacca, Crocmaster, Serpentor, Globulus, Monchichi, yeah, whatever, Grimlock and the Dinobots, Werewolves, Altered Beasts, Splinter, the Turtles, pretty much every TMNT character, and on and on and on. And believe me, my fascination with this sort of animal-human mashup genre, or trope really, stuck with me, lasting well past my childhood. In fact, several decades after, let's call it my first childhood, I developed a habit of watching toy videos on YouTube. This was about 6 or 7 years ago. I was at the end of my 30s, going into my 40s when I was a devourer of toy YouTube, but this was still during a time before I'd actually returned to buying and collecting action figures. I had an action figure collectionless existence from, say, the late 90s till I started back up in the tail end of 2020. I had other toy habits in the in-between times, but I'll save that for another video. From about 2015, though, to 2020, I was just into watching different toy tubers and sort of lived through others' love of modern action figures. So one weekend I'm checking out Foosh Weekly and they're talking about Spero Studios 4-inch Animals of the Warrior Kingdom line. Totally perked up like a startled dog. I was super into the character designs. It was like Planet of the Apes and Thundercats were coming together. And that's like Brick Something catnip. But I just wasn't in a position to start buying action figures again. So I just kind of kept watching it from afar. Then later, when Spero Studios announced that they were upgrading their Animals of the Warrior Kingdom line to this new scale with their Primal Battle line, I couldn't resist following the thing. They launched their Kickstarter for the line on March 20th, 2021. I watched and was super intrigued, but I just couldn't join in and buy stuff yet. But having a creative background myself, I've had my own share of sort of DIY and entrepreneurial projects. As a kid, I was doing zines and bands, and those eventually became websites and t-shirts and a band again and a design company. So I've always loved the sort of indie spirit of giving things a try and putting things out into the world. So I was super attracted to the idea of the small creator and studio taking a comic book idea, putting out a 4-inch line, and now going bigger with 7-inch figs that could hold their own with Marvel Legends, Super 7, Mythic Legions, and Motu Classics and Masterverse. As you just saw, by the end of day 1, they'd reached half of their fundraising goal. I watched the entire campaign unfold with a lot of interest. Not only was Spero's toys cool, but they were doing it on their own terms. This little studio that could, and its founder, Jason Bienvenu, had my attention and my respect. Their Kickstarter moved fast, and all the while we got brought into Spero's process. From the early concept art, to character designs and illustrations, to prototyping, and eventually paint samples. Check this stuff out. Needless to say, my eyes were feasting as this all unfolded, and all the while I was intrigued by the idea that this toy company was going to be giving us something that feels pretty damn fresh given the current toy market, with maybe the exception of Super 7's Thundercats and some of the handful of animal-esque Mythic Legions characters. I mean, at least to me, this was a big deal. Just look at these concepts that they were sharing right around this time. I'm just always blown away by the level of art and design and all the just crazy talent involved in this hobby. By week 1, the campaign hit its goal, and then the tiers just kept getting unlocked. It eventually ended on April 23rd, 2021. Unfortunately, I still wasn't back to buying action figures yet. Fast forward a few months, Masterverse was announced in July 2021 and began shipping that fall. As you might have seen from my previous Brick Something issues, I fell into that hard. That led to a few Choice Super 7 Ultimates pickups, like Conan movie characters and a Lion-O pre-order. I also went back and grabbed a handful of Motu Classics that I could afford, and then at the same time I started to take the plunge with a more current Four Horsemen toy project via a small first Mythic Legions purchase. I share all of that to one, let you know that by 2022 I was officially a 7-inch or 110 collector, but also to give you a sense of the taste and genre that I was building on my bookshelf. Basically one where Animals of the Warrior Kingdom would fit perfectly into. So not that long ago, in the summer of 2022, I saw that Animals of the Warrior Kingdom was offering more pre-sales of the Primal Battle line via Backer Kit, and that they were gearing up to ship the figures in fall of 2022. I did some homework, got the cash lined up. It was time to back this promising new company's more than worthy project. I figured I gotta support this. I love the concept and overall design work and feel like the AWOK world really adds something both unique and yet perfectly tailored to fit right into the 7-inch world on my shelf. These toys would totally fit on Eternia or Third Earth or Mythos or Mongo or the Hyborian Age, all of which just basically converge on my shelf. I didn't mean to maybe support as intensely as I kind of did, maybe, I swear. I just kept taking a look at things, did some math, then looked at a few more things and did the math, then kept looking at things and started ignoring the math. I just kind of fell in kind of hard. Let's just say that it's going to make for a long series of Unbox Something videos on this channel. Subscribe, please. So now it's October. And it looks like next month's Legions Con will be the date that people will start having AWOK in hand. For this video, I really just want to help my own hype train and keep my AWOK brain busy while I await my figures, which sadly won't ship till December per Spero's last updates. It's cool, the actual Kickstarter backers have waited much longer than I have, so I can definitely be patient too. I'm all for taking the time needed to get it right, and based on recent photo and video updates, I really don't think there's any way I'm going to be disappointed by this line. Let me show you why. First, let me recommend that if you haven't already, check out the Animals of the Warrior Kingdom comic books. There's 3 issues out right now. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's a really cool science fiction story that definitely has its roots in both Planet of the Apes and the beloved original Thundercats show. Actually, come to think of it, there's also a lot of that underappreciated 2011 Thundercats animated reboot. In other words, this thing is perfect given my passions. The AWOK story matches the quality of the toy designs in my opinion. There's exploration of cool themes about humanity's darkest tendencies, like war, imperialism, narrow tribalism, and self-interest, and even the often shameful mistakes one makes while dealing with a universal quest to understand oneself, where one comes from, and where one is meant to go. It follows the young anthropomorphic Pale as he helps his father Thane, ruler of his nation, rise to the challenge of allying with their estranged neighbors, the other animals of the warrior kingdoms. Why the need for allies? Well, let me make it seem deceptively simple by just saying that they need to meet the threat of a ruthless conqueror ape named Kali. Again, not going to spoil things, but let me just say that there's plenty of surprises along the way. It's complex and nuanced, and I think if you read a lot of sci-fi or maybe watch a lot of fantasy, you're still going to be kind of surprised by what happens here. So if you read the comics, you'll have a sense of what this world is all about. Then you have to see what Jason and Spiro have going on with their website and Instagram. Here's the rundown of the figures coming in November and December. By the time the December shipments go out, we'll be getting waves 1 and 2. These are the figures in wave 1. You got Pale the protagonist, Kali the main antagonist, Atreyu, a princely lion peer of Pale's, Tiberius a sketchy tiger, and troop-building soldiers from both the heroic and villainous armies, the Shinari and the Ravagers. Wave 2 is a mix of figures and a crazy group of head packs and weapons. There's the villainous Blight, and then 3 more cats in Vero Atlas, Cordoon, and Lexion. At least I think Lexion's a cat, right? Maybe like a lynx or something? Either way, he and all these figures just look amazing. The sculpt work, designs, and refreshingly bright and abundant color, in my opinion, put these more in line with the premium work of the Four Horsemen with Mythic Legions than say the big-time retail-focused lines of the likes of Hasbro or Mattel. Also in this wave are these 3 head packs that again show the quality that Spiro's putting out. And of course, a huge assortment of highly detailed weapons packs that play with colorways and deco, clearly to place these characters in typical but fun action, adventure, and combat play. They've even got radiated weapons that glow in the dark. Check out this footage from Spero founder Jason's Facebook live streams. How satisfying is this? Glow in the dark is the tried and true vintage toy nerd cash magnet. Oh, and there's also a series of sort of more basic figures called Primal Ancients. Check these out. By the way, I couldn't resist pre-ordering a small contingent of these ready-to-go comrades of Beastman. Obviously, these last few figs are troop builders and customizer fodder. Spiro has the benefit of launching this line after others have paved the way, so they get to release Animals of the Warrior Kingdom as a new line, fully knowing about modern toy enthusiasts' collecting, hobbying, and play patterns. You got the folks who will keep them in box and just admire them as little works of art. You got those who'll rip them out of their packaging to play with and pose and photograph. And you'll have those who'll take them apart, add parts from other toy lines, and even sculpt or paint them to get that perfect custom toy. And these Primal Ancients figures and the heads and weapon sets clearly telegraph that Spiro fully supports all of this. I'm the kind of collector that's a little bit of all the above. I absolutely love mixing my toy lines on the shelf. I love sharing parts among them, and I definitely love little fits of customizing when I can do it. Spiro's recent marketing updates have seemingly been speaking directly to each of my core toy habits. Let me show you what I mean by showing you some of the more recent updates on the line. First, let's talk body parts and articulation. Check out this video of Jason messing with different body parts. He's taking them apart. What I'm seeing is kind of like this Lego-like system for combining them to make customizing these toys part of the play pattern. So smart. With lines like Glyos, Mythic Legions, and Motu Origins, a huge part of the fun is taking parts off figures and then moving them around to other figures, what people call pop and swap. You might not know this about me, but the name Brick Something actually comes from being an AFOL. That's AFOL with an F, which means adult fan of Lego. Part of what intrigues me about modern action figure collecting is how some toy companies are turning the whole swappable parts and accessories into a feature. Spiro clearly knows this is a big deal, so right off the bat, they're letting me know that I can do some quick customizing and hybridizing of the stock figures they give me. Here's a rundown of some plastic swatches and accessories from the factory. And in the background, what's that? Is that He-Man wearing AWOK armor and a bracer? Hell yes. They fit like a glove. And what this video tells me is that all those cool weapons can be used by Masterverse, Mythic Legions, and likely Super 7 and NECAFIGs too. They even went to PowerCon this year and had Masterverse He-Man and Skeletor selling their AWOK wares. How cool is that? And these aren't meh weapons either. This is all amazing, well-designed, and well-painted stuff. So how posable are these figures? Look at this articulation test with a Kali fig. You can easily see how smart it was for them to incorporate the mix of softer rubbery armor with the harder body parts. This combo allows for some great movement and posability. Those joints look really buttery smooth. Granted, this is a prototype, but it's still a good indication of what we're likely to see. Same goes for this one that's apparently using a temporary shoulder based on what Jason had on hand at the time. The way he's able to move this thing around makes it look like these figures will be yoga masters. Super flexible, super pliable, and awesome looking. Again, it's hard to judge exactly how smooth, stiff, or loose the actual figs are going to be, but based on this guy, the range of motion seems pretty damn clear. Listen, I'm not getting paid by Spiro. I'm just really excited about what Animals of the Warrior Kingdom means for 7-inch collectors like me. I'm in love with the idea of brand new anthropomorphized animal characters that can just kick it with He-Man or battle Skeletor. And all signs point to these things showing up soon. And I can't wait to have mine in hand. I'll definitely be sharing those with you on this channel, so I kind of wanted to make this pre-release video and just kind of get a sense of who's actually paying attention to this line like I am. Drop some comments below and let me know, are you watching this line like I am? Are you looking forward to it? Did you pre-order? I genuinely want to know. So that'll do it for issue number 4 of Brick Something. I'll probably have a couple more Unbox Something videos coming out soon, so definitely hit like or subscribe so you can catch those when they drop. And if you're looking for a little more toy talk, check out this member of the Legion of Lesser Toy Tubers and see what they've got to say. Thanks again for checking out this issue of Brick Something. Gracias por ver este video. Salamat sa inyong lahat. And as always, peace and power.